Welcome back to Satisfactory version 1, where in the last episode we finally finished phase 3 and we're moving now to phase 4 with tier 7 and tier 8 milestone. We've automated things like computers, heavy modular frames, crystal oscillators, and even the SAM fluctuators. So now it's time to move to our next challenges, and there's gonna be a lot, of course. Before we talk about tier 7 and in particular a whole new resource, the bauxite, I want to talk about radio tower. I did show you 2 episodes ago that we unlocked this radio tower over here in the Caterium branch of the map that was revealing everything on the map, right? But I only had built one over here. Now I've deleted that one, and instead I've built a couple to cover, as you can see, the map, or at least the map that we know of. There is still quite a lot happening over here and quite a lot happening over there that we haven't discovered. But in the part of the world that we know, you can see now all of the resources, thanks to a couple of these radio towers, like one here, one there, right? There's one here, one over here, here, and there. And as you can see, I try to have, overlapping coverage to make sure we don't miss anything. And I think what's really good is, obviously now I can see all of the resources. I can also see, okay, there is actually quite a lot of Somersloop and Mercer spheres that are left into this area, so I can try to find them. But more importantly, I think it's really good for something like the SAM ore, which usually, SAM, they took out the ore. But yeah, the SAM is usually hidden, underneath the surface in a cave or something like this. And so if you don't know where to look, it's very hard. And you may remember in the last episode when we look at this one here, right, it says it is here, but actually the entrance is somewhere over here. And it's also a very small entrance, etc. So yeah, it's hard to find it. But now I have, I see where they are on the map. And in particular, I can see over here, there's 4 of them in a pretty small zone. So I think that's going to be great. In the future, if we need a lot of SAM, we'll probably do it here. But yeah, that is the radio tower coverage. And now let's move to tier 7 with the first milestone is to unlock the bauxite refinement, to be precise. It requires 100 computer, 100 heavy modular frames, 250 motors, and 500 of rubber. Good thing is we've automated all of this in the past, so easy to do it. Let's see what Ada tells us.
Milestone reached. Bauxite is refined into aluminum products via a multi-step process. Considering your past achievements, you should have the minimum required skill to overcome these new production challenges. If it helps, many others have done this before, so if you fail, someone else will eventually succeed.
What? You don't believe I will succeed? So mean. But yes, to be frank, it is indeed one of the steps of the game where in the past we've lost some players. People say, oh, this is becoming hard. Because it is indeed a multi-step process where there's also byproducts that you have to take care of, etc. So let me show you a bit what we're talking about. So we have a refinery over here. We're going to have the alumina solution, alumina scrap. And that's not the end, but I'm showing you, the start. So you actually start over here. We're going to take the bauxite. That's a new resource, a new mining resource, and a bit of water. So you also need water already, fluid, right? Not always so easy. And you're going to create 2 things. You're going to create alumina solution and silica. Now, the good thing is the silica, you can send it into an awesome sink if you don't want to deal with it, but there is actually something better to do with it. Then you have the alumina scrap over here, where you're going to take this alumina solution and you're going to take coal. So again, we said we need bauxite, we need water. Now we also need coal to make the aluminum scrap and to make water. Now that water, that becomes a bit harder, right? Because this water, you cannot just put it into an awesome sink right away. If you wanted to put it in an awesome sink, you're going to need to package it. But remember, you also do need water for this first step. So a good thing is to actually send back the water to be used here. But that sometimes is a bit hard, so we'll talk about this. Now this is not the end, because that is just making aluminum scrap, right? So we're going to need to do something with this scrap. Then you need to build a foundry. And in the foundry, you're going to have aluminum ingots. It's going to take this scrap plus silica. Remember, we were already making silica as a byproduct in one of the previous, but you're going to need more. So that means now we need also to produce silica, which means you probably need quartz, right? And that is going to make your aluminum ingots. Now, the good thing is we're basically at the end, because now with your aluminum ingots, you can go into the constructor and you're going to see the aluminum casing. So from aluminum ingot to aluminum casing. But that's not the end, because there is 2 aluminum products. There is the casing, but I'm missing some plates. Sorry, give me a second. I have not put this into my dimensional depot. Okay. So the other thing is, if you look into the assembler now, we have also the aluminum sheet or alclad aluminum sheet. This will take the aluminum ingots, but also the copper ingot. And so again, we are bringing one more resource, the copper, into this equation. And that will make the alclad aluminum sheet. So indeed, we're going to want to make both the casing and the sheet, and that's going to require quite a few different resources. Now, this is with the standard recipe. There is some alternate recipes that can help make it easier. And, this is a good thing that obviously now we are in a new tier, so we can actually go into the MAM and maybe put some new hard drive into it to try to find them. But the factory I'm going to make now is going to be a normal factory without those alternate recipes, so that hopefully, it shows all of you how to do it. Probably in a later episode, we'll use some alternate recipe for it, but for now, let's not do this. So yeah, we have unlocked the bauxite. Now let me show you, how we're going to produce it and where. So here's the plan. As promised, we're gonna use only normal recipe now, but later at the end of the episode, I'll show you also some of the alternate ones. So we need to indeed do quite a few things. We need to start with the alumina solution, as I said, and transform the scrap or the solution into scrap, then the scrap into ingot, and then ingot into both casing and alclad aluminum sheet. I make it simple. I'm gonna go half-half. We're gonna use half of the ingots we do for casing and half for the sheets. So in terms of numbers, what I decided to do is let's take one pure node of bauxite, overclock it to get to 480, which is right now on maximum belt, right, on belt Mark 4. So we have 480 of bauxite. With that, what can we do? That was basically my plan, right? So with that, we can do 4 refineries for the alumina solution. That means we're going to create 480 of alumina solution. With this, we have 2 refineries for the scrap because each of them is using 240. And so with this, we're going to create 720 of scrap. So that means we're going to need 2 belts, right? 1 belt is not enough anymore. We're going to then go into 8 foundries, or 2 lines of 4 to be more precise. We're going to divide it in 2. That means we're going to create 480 of aluminum ingots. This is, by the way, easy to remember, is from bauxite to ingots, you're going to keep the same number. And then, as I said, we're going to use 240 of those ingots for the casing. So that means almost 2.67 constructors for the casing, creating 160 casing to be precise, and then 8 assemblers for the aluminum sheet to create 240 aluminum sheet. This is also requiring, remember, a bit of copper. So to be precise, in terms of the total, right, we're going to need bauxite, we're going to need water, we're going to need coal, copper, and quartz for the silica. Now, there is something really interesting with the bauxite. Is if you look at the map, there is actually bauxite only around the middle of the map. There's no bauxite at all in the top and none at the bottom either. So we don't really have a choice. We have to go around here. And the reality is, you may remember, we just built a factory over here, all right, for the modular frame, heavy modular frames, and the crystal oscillator. So it's like, okay, let's just continue. Let's take this bauxite there and let's look for the resource around there. And this is what you can see over here. We have quartz there. We have coal both in the south and in the north. We have a lot of copper over here, a bit more there too, by the way. We have a lot of bauxite, and of course we have a lot of water, spread apart over here. So that's the idea. This is where we're going to build it. And look at this, we have some alclad sheet over there, and we have some casing. Where are the casing here? We have some casing here. So I have built the factory. I haven't made it pretty yet, but also not so ugly because it's well organized. And what's really important is you can see this is all green, 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 green. Everything is green. It's working perfectly. So in terms of the map, where are we exactly? We are over here. I decided to take those coal in the south instead of the coal in the north there. We do bring 2 things from the top. We bring, some raw quartz, and we bring some copper that comes down from here. Then we have the bauxite that comes from here, and the coal there. And then we have all of this water here. This is why I made it here. Basically, we have so much water. Let me take this out. This is not needed anymore. So yeah, let's go maybe to the top of to the bottom of the factory. Let's start at the bottom. So the bottom of here, and as I said, I haven't made the factory completely pretty yet, but I've started part of it. You can see over here, for example. So this is of coal, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, coal 150 on this one. That goes over here, up. And then we have the same on the other side there. There's also 1 miner of coal, 150. So we're talking about 300 of coal for here that are merged, and it goes up all the way to the top. So that's the first piece of the factory. Let's take those stairs to go all the way up. So you can see some of the other resources we're bringing in, and the factory is more towards the bottom because we need the water, right? And remember that the water, obviously, you don't want to send it 200 meters up. That would cost a lot of pumps. So then, as I said, we have resources from over there. We have the silica and we have the copper. The copper actually coming, from over there, and the silica here. Now the silica we use, actually, maybe let's go quickly. If you watched my previous episode, you may remember we were already making copper over here with those refineries, right, for the pure recipe. So this is just the same that goes over here. And then the silica is coming from the small silica factory. We also already had 3 miners just over there, if I remember correctly. You'll see them in a second. Yes, 3 miners were over here for the quartz, right? And we used to send all 3 to the quartz oscillator factory, but we had tons of surplus that was going just into an awesome sink. So now I'm just bringing some of it. We have actually, it's just over here where I'm pointing. We have a smart splitter that says first send over here, and then if you're full, you can continue to send more this side. That is bringing the silica over here, or this quartz over here, to make silica. You may recognize the blueprint, right? These are the constructors, the blueprint of constructors, easy. Goes in the middle for the quartz, and we have on each side this recipe of silica that create 2 lines on the outside that are then being merged. So pretty easy. I did have to build it. That is completely new, whereas the copper was already there, but it wasn't that complex. Now let me show you the bauxite that is basically over here, somewhere over there, behind. You can see it over there. Oh, and by the way, there's an enemy here, but there's also a lot of these radioactive materials, so let's wait until we build a suit to get it. And by the way, when you have something like this, just run on it. That will make you go a bit faster, or take, of course, as always, a zip line. But in this case, I was just trying to show you where we're going. We're going all the way over here, and it is on this side there. Let's actually go across. Burning a bit of fuel is not the end of the world. It's not like I'm using my biofuel for energy anymore. Here it is, it's along the tree. We have 1 bauxite deposit here. It is actually pure. Yeah, it is pure, overclocked. We're making 850. You can see the belt is completely full, and it's actually moving at full speed. So yeah, that's what we're bringing. We're bringing the bauxite on this side. We're bringing the silica and copper on that one, and at the bottom we were bringing the coal. Yeah? So let's follow the bauxite all the way down over here. Here it is. It's gonna go into those 4 refineries that are at 100%, right, working, and you can see they are working at 100% perfectly. It also requires a bit of water. I'll show you that in a second. Creating aluminium solution and silica. So the silica is merged at level 3 here, or goes here, and it's gonna go under here. I'll show you later what we're doing with it. First, we need to follow the silica solution that goes over here. There is a pump Mark 1 because we have a small head lift. The reason I made a small head lift, it's not like I had to, but it's this way I brought the coal under and this one on top. And also I had then a difference of elevation for this water versus the water that we're bringing from down. So yes, the silica solution, yeah, or aluminium solution, sorry, goes over here with coal to make the scrap and water. So we have, as I said, the coal, that comes from all the way down. Let me just show you. It comes over here, right, from down there, goes on this belt, and we'll go under here with 1 elevator and a second elevator. That's pretty cool to start doing things over and under. And then we have the elevator here and that solution of silica. Why am I saying silica? That aluminium solution that goes here. On the other side, of course, we have the scrap. This is what you can see here. And remember, we're creating more than 700, so we need 2 belts. We have 1 belt here, 1 belt there, and they will go into this factory there. But we're also creating water, and we need to deal with the water. Right? So the water, what we're doing is we're sending it back into these 4 refineries because they need water. And they need more water than what is built over there, but we need to make sure that this is used. So the way I'm doing this is 2-fold or 3-fold. One is I have a valve here to make sure that the water doesn't try to go back up. No, it's only going to go down. It could stay there, but at least it's not going to go back this side. And the second thing I'm doing is here we have this elevation. So this water here is coming down versus this water here is at this level. So theoretically, as per the satisfactory, fluid mechanics, this water should be prioritized versus that one. But to make sure it really works this way, I have also a valve on this one, which will do two things. One is will avoid the water going back that side. Not that it should ever happen, but that avoids this. But more importantly, I have limited the valve to 480, because 480 is exactly what we need when it's working 100%. Because if you look at this, here, this is 180 times 4, right? So we're talking about 720. On this side here, we are making 120 times 2, 240. So if you do 720 minus 240, that means 480, right? So that is exactly what's needed, and we should never have more. And so that is why this is working perfectly. If you have any questions, any trouble with this, don't hesitate to tell me. But yeah, I guarantee you, I mean, it's all green and it's all working at 100%. You can see it over here, the productivity. So now we continue. We have the scraps, right? We have, oh, sorry, I didn't show you that this 480 of water obviously comes from down. Over here, we have, the water comes here with the pump, goes up. And one pipe Mark II is enough because, again, it's 480. So we go here into the second part of the factory, where, as I said, we have 2 layers of foundries, 4 each, that are going to take the alumina scrap and some silica to make the ingots. The silica, that's what's happening at the bottom, doing a bit the same trick we did with the coal on that side, here with the silica. But the silica is at the bottom, goes up with those elevators. Now here, this is slightly complex because once more, we need to make sure to use the silica that's created over here as a byproduct, otherwise those things are going to stop, but it is not enough. So I also have to bring silica, and that's what you can see over here. We bring a lot of silica. And here, the way I did it is I basically calculated, okay, how much are we producing on this side, right, of silica? We are producing, to be very precise, 200. So 200 is coming this side. 200 is enough for this first one. This first one is taking 75. And this is also enough for the second one, 75, or how much is it, 75 or 95? I think it is 75. Yes, 75. Right? So 75 and 75, that's 150. So it's enough for those first two. That's perfect. So that's why over here we have a splitter and a splitter. Then, on the other hand, we only have, 50 left. So that is not enough for this one here, right? So that is why what I'm doing then is I have a merger that is going to take the 50 that's left here, plus whatever is left from this belt on the other side. So it's not perfect, but it works good enough so far. Don't hesitate to tell me if you have any problems. I could have also put, actually I think I did. Yeah, I did also put over here, as you can see, a smart splitter to say, first you go this side, all right? To make sure we use as much silica as possible. But if ever this belt is full, well, you can just go into the awesome sink and I can waste, in a sense, a bit of silica. And this way, that should never stop. And then in the middle, we are making all of the ingots, right? Now, all of the ingots, we are making 480. So I could have put them all on the same belt, but I knew I wanted to, do half for the casing and half for the aluminum sheet. So what I did is you can see that these 4 foundries, this one, and this one, they are all merged towards here and this elevator. And the other 4, like this one, and that one, are merged on this side for the second elevator. So that's what we're doing. Let's go up so I can show you after what's happening. So we have, as I said, those 2 elevators. There is one that is over here. Here it is. That is the one for the casing. 2.75 constructors. So that's what's happening over here. 1 full constructor, a second full, and a third that will work at 60.7%. That's making all of our casing. They're being merged. And then we do the typical thing where with my smart splitter, right, first you go into a dimensional depot. Look at this. Full of casing, full of aluminum sheet already. Then it can go into a second storage just so that we have a lot. And then you can go and go into the awesome sink. And then we do basically the same on the other side where you can see the ingots are over here. And in this case, we need 8 assemblers. So in this floor here, if I wanted to keep it, the same sort of rectangle, 8 cannot fit. So we have 4 here and we have 4 on the floor above. So that's what's happening. You can see, the ingots are going here, 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 and then they will go up. And the copper actually does the opposite. It starts on the top, and then it goes down, and it finishes over here. And then, here we do the classic thing of one at the floor level and one at the elevator level. It creates, the alkylate sheet, and then those alkylate sheet are merged over here, right? And do the same with one dimensional depot, then one normal depot, and then it goes into the same awesome sink, because this is 160, this is 240 at the maximum, so we're talking about 400 in total. That goes no problem into a belt level 4. And let me just show you quickly the level above, which again is basically the same. You have 4 assemblers, right, where you have the copper going down, and you have the aluminum ingots that starts here and goes that side. And then it is merged here. It starts towards the end, comes over here and goes down to merge with the other one here. So yeah, that's the factory. Again, I haven't made it pretty yet, probably do it just after. But what I'm really happy is this is the standard recipe. I haven't cheated at all, but with this, it is working perfectly at 100%. Never stop. I can leave it forever. And this is 160 of aluminum casing and 240 of alclad aluminum sheet. That's a lot, right? I think we can all agree. Do tell me also if you enjoy it, if you have questions, etc. But we're not finished. We still have a couple of different goals to do. First, with those alclad and casing, we can do all tier 7 milestone. So let's go to the base to do that. Okay, so first let's do the overpack with 250 motors, 100 heavy modular frames, 100 computers, and 100 alclad sheets. Let's deliver it and let's build.
Milestone reached. The hover pack draws energy from nearby power connections and so can only be used in their vicinity. It provides an excellent vantage point of your work, which you clearly need. Otherwise, you would have optimized that obvious problem by now.
Thank you, Ada, as always insulting me. So we had the jetpack, right? The jetpack is using a fuel. Now we're gonna have the hover pack. So the hover pack is slightly different. This is not going to use fuel. This is just going to enable you to, go up and also stay there. Like I'm not pressing anything right now and I'm not moving. As long as there's electricity, I am in range of electricity. You can see it over here. This is the range. I'm very close to electricity. Obviously, if I go a bit further, you'll see now this range here has decreased by a lot, right? And if it gets to 0, then I will fall. I don't know if I will ever get to 0. Yeah, it is. I go to 0 and I'm falling, right? So that is what the overpack is, which means, this is obviously way better. It's not going to use any fuel when I'm in base or factory, etc. But you probably still want to keep your jetpack to be able to fly to new location or hard to reach location. Was there anything else? I think there was also some new, we got 3 inventory slots. So my slots again have increased. That is great. And that is the first or the second. Then we're gonna have Mark 5 logistic. When we say Mark 5, we're talking about 780. So we move from 480 to 780. That is really powerful. Now we're talking about 600 reinforcement plate, 400 encased industrial beams, and 200 alclad sheet. So I have all of this, that's not a problem. We do need to wait 3 minutes for the pod to return. 3 minutes later, the pod is back, so let's deliver it all. Here it is, done, and get our Mark 5.
Milestone reached. Fixit dedicated this milestone to the conveyor belt and lift Mark 5. They may be implying that your factory could be further optimized. While they are correct, I believe they are setting unreasonable expectations. Having all of humanity very definitely relying on your work is a lot of pressure. It's a good thing I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Ada, for being there for me. But yeah, we have the Mark 5, and as you can see, they're going to consume alclad aluminum sheet, and that is why we are making 240 of them per minute. Because we're going to be using a lot of them going forward. Then we have the hazmat suit, plus 3 inventory slots too, but more importantly, the actual hazmat suit and iodine infused filter. This is basically like the gas mask, but in this case for radioactive material. It is going to consume casing in this case, as well as some quick wire and also some gas filter. So let me make sure I have all of this in my inventory and, wait 4 minutes for the pod, and then we can build it together. So it is, we need 50 gas filters, 100 casing, and 500 quick wire. That's not too much. What you gonna say, Ada?
Milestone reached. The hazmat suit protects the wearer from radiation by consuming iodine-infused filters. You may find this protection essential if you are going to finally get around to saving humanity. I previously gave you compliments in an attempt to inspire you, but it might have given you the wrong idea. I will definitely be totally honest with you from this moment on. Here is a demonstration of a truthful compliment. That suit looks like it was made for you. Because it was.
When did you ever give me a compliment? You are lying, Ada. So we have the hazmat suit over here, right? Using some rubber, some plastic, some alclad aluminum sheet and some fabric, and then the iodine infused filter. So you take normal gas filters, you take some quick wires and some aluminum casing, and we're gonna make some. Actually, maybe, no, let's not make 50, let's keep a few. And then maybe we actually get back to the same place, to the aluminum factory. Remember, there was this place with quite a bit of radioactive material, and there was a Mercer sphere, and we can get that. So here it is. Now, if you go into your equipment, of course, we're gonna want to put on our bodies the suits, right? And now the the filters are automatically there, so that's great. It does take one space in your inventory, though. Do keep that in mind. While I'm here, let me just deliver also some of these and some of these here. Okay, it's fine. But before we do, let's do the final and huge tier 7 milestone. We need 200 alcad, 400 casing in this case, 200 computers, and 1000 of plastic. So talking about pretty big numbers, you better have automated all of this.
Milestone reached. Several parts more efficient and powerful than the human brain can now be made to compensate for many deficiencies otherwise encountered in future development efforts. The blender enables you to mix and/or combine parts and fluids for more complex recipes. Most importantly, project part number 6, the assembly director system, should be produced and delivered to the space elevator as soon as possible.
So yes, with this we have unlocked our first milestone for phase 4. You can see it over here. We need 500 of them. By the way, this is the assembly director system. We've unlocked also a new building. After the manufacturer, we now have the blender. The blender has 2 input pipes and 2 input belts. That's becoming pretty complex. With this, we're going to be able to make a couple of different things like supercomputer, radio control unit, battery. We also have a new sort of liquid, the sulfuric acid, which of course is going to take sulfur with water. That's important for the battery. So that's definitely going to be something we want to look at in the next episode. In the next episode, we of course have also tier 8 to still look at, including the drones. Very exciting. I actually didn't use drone that much in my last playthrough. So I think this one, we're going to try to use them a lot more. We have nuclear power also, or the first level of nuclear power. Then we have advanced aluminum production, where there's a lot of things here, and there's a completely new things with the resource well pressurizer. This is for gas, like nitrogen gas, but also some other elements. Leading edge production with the Manor Mark III, and particle enrichment, which is like nuclear level 2. And there's going to be nuclear level 3 also in tier 9, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So we have finished all tier 7 milestone. We have also done the overpack and hazmat, even if I haven't showed you the hazmat yet. So as I said, let's go back to the new factory. So I can show you 1, the hazmat, and 2, also the alternate recipe for aluminum, because some of them are really good. So it is, we have arrived. Now there is radioactive material, there's also radioactive beast. So let's try to kill it first. Otherwise it will kill us, even if we are way high now in the sky. But yeah, you can see, oh, where did it go? Oh, it went over there. Yeah, you can see the radioactive level that increased, but I didn't die. Ooh, nice coming for me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So yeah, my radioactive level is very high right now, but I'm still not dying. I'm not losing health. Let's go. Where is it? Where am I? Oh, yeah. So we're going to increase the radioactive level, and that means we're going to start consuming. You can see this is going down slowly but surely, but my health is not. So that's what's really good with now this. We can be in radioactive terrain and not have any problem. And one thing I will mention though is don't press E. Don't mine uranium and put uranium in your equipment, because then you'll have permanent radioactiveness on yourself. Now let's continue over here to go back to the... Oh, let's actually... I don't know, there's no electricity here. Unless I cheat. No, not cheating, but I'm gonna bring electricity so I can fly easily. A bit too far. Okay, over here somewhere should be fine. Okay, now there's electricity, so I can fly and get this, no problem. Perfect. Okay, so alternate recipes. Okay, so let's talk about the alternate recipes. There's a couple, but I want to focus on 2 first. The first one is a sloppy alumina. I mean, actually, let's talk about alumina solution, there is only one, and this is the sloppy alumina. So for this one, you're going to take the same thing. You're going to take water and bauxite, the same thing as the normal recipe. And instead of creating alumina and silica, you're only going to create alumina. So you may be like, okay, that doesn't sound so interesting, right? Because you're only making one thing and not two. You're not completely wrong, but hear me out. First element is, right now, you are taking 120 bauxite to make 120 alumina. So it's a 1-to-1, right? Now we're going to take 200 and we're going to make 240. So we're going to make more than what we are, taking. Given that the bauxite is actually limited, that is very interesting, right? Spoiler alert, we're also actually decreasing the water need, because look at this. This was 180 of water for 120. Now it's 200 for 240. So we also need a lot less water. I'm a lot less interested in the water, to be honest, but the bauxite is an important point. The second reason why this recipe is actually pretty interesting is this silica here. Yes, it is, you're not going to produce it, so you're losing, but it was a byproduct. And the byproduct is always slightly complex, to manage. You have to manage it, otherwise this will stop. So that makes it more efficient in terms of bauxite, and that makes it a lot easier, because now you only have one thing to deal with. It does mean you lose a bit of silica. But when you combine it with the second alternate recipe I wanted to show you, which is now for the aluminum scrap to ingot. So the normal recipe is here, right? You're taking aluminum scrap and silica to make your ingot. There is pure aluminum ingot, which will go away with this silica. Now you only take the scrap and you don't use a foundry anymore, you just use a smelter. So that means, you don't need the silica anymore, so it's fine that you're losing a bit of silica in the old one. And you don't have to pay the cost of building foundries, the space of foundries, and the electricity of foundries. You just take all of that for smelters. You do lose on one small thing, or not so small to be honest, but you do lose on one thing, which is that to make 60 of aluminium, before you needed 90 of aluminium scrap. So let's say to make 30, you need 45, right? In this case, in the new one, you need 60 to make 30. So instead of 45, you need 60. So you need more scrap to make the ingot. So you do lose here a bit. It is slightly less efficient, right? But you don't need the silica at all, right? So you're winning a lot on that side. Like you're losing a bit on the bauxite if you wish, but you're winning a lot on the quartz. And again, you're also winning a lot on the complexity, on the size, on the electricity. So I do think combining both of these together makes for a pretty good, easy production of aluminum ingots. I know I didn't talk about the scrap. There is actually two alternate recipes for the scrap, as you can see over here. The normal is to take your alumina solution and your coal to make scrap and water. Now you're going to here have two. The first one is also alumina solution, but instead of normal coke, you do petroleum coke. So, yes, if you have tons of petroleum coke, that could be interesting, but you can also do other things with it. I'm not a big fan of this. I think this is very strange. You're not going to use that a lot. The other one is interesting because instead of using alumina solution, you're going to use the bauxite directly. So instead of having to go first through bauxite plus water, you're going to take the bauxite and water directly into a blender with the coal, so similar to this. You do need to add one thing, which is a sulfuric acid, to then make your scrap and your water. But it's also not that great. You're not making as much. So I don't think this is a great one either, in my opinion, but do tell me in the comments below if you disagree. And I actually got pretty lucky because I did only 2 new hard drive since, we unlock tier 7, and I got both of these. You can see the sloppy, I did have to, no, I didn't rescan at all even for both of these. So here it is. We have the alternate sloppy alumina, right? That's the one I mentioned that is not going to create any silica. And then over here, the last one, we have, oops, not this one. We have the pure aluminum ingot, which is in the smelter, the scrap directly into ingot. We did also find another one that is creating aluminum rod. There's actually quite a few of alternate recipe on what to do with the ingots once you have it, but this is more for a later stage. I think it's more important to focus first on making ingots easily before you think about using those ingots. But yeah, those 2 recipe, I'm really happy to have found them already. It will be useful in the future for sure, even if we have a good production now. So it is, ladies and gents, we have a good radio tower coverage. We've unlocked all tier 7 milestones, including bauxite, to make an aluminum factory with no alternate recipe, creating both the aluminum casing and aluminum clad. Alclad sheet, sorry, the name all mixed up in my mind. We created the overpack and the hazmat suit, so that's really good. And we've unlocked quite a few new things, as I showed you at the end in the blender. Can I build a blender? I don't know if I have the resources. Yes, we have resources. We don't really have the space, but a bit of clipping never hurt anybody. So we're going to be able to do over here the sulfuric acid, aluminum solution and casing to make some batteries. So yeah, we're gonna want to do this factory somewhere. I need to find a place to make that happen, and those batteries are gonna be very important for the drones. It's not the only thing we can put in the drones. With the latest, with version 1, in the past you had to put batteries, now you can put other things in drones, but I can show you that in the next episode. Thank you for watching, smash like button, and I hope to see you next time.